Today I'm here with Sherrill Hudson, Executive Chairman of TECO, Tampa Electric Company, and we're going to spend some time talking about his role as a CPA in industry. Sherrill, could you tell me a little bit about your role as Executive Chairman and the journey it's taken you to get to that position?
Well, I'd like to step back a little bit and talk about my role as CEO, which I assumed in July of '04. And that was just completed 6 years. Those were very exciting, challenging years. The company had had some struggles, and so with great teamwork from a lot of people, including some very good CPAs here, we were able to get the company really back on track, and it's been a labor of love being CEO. And now I'm really excited about my new role as Executive Chair. I'll be involved in strategy and mentoring and working with the board. In this day of Sarbanes-Oxley, boards are very active, and rightfully so. And so I'll be spending a good bit of time working with the board to make sure that the board continues to support management and the company in its achieving its goals.
Could you tell me a little bit about your career leading up to your accepting the presidency and CEO of the company?
Well, yeah, I would tell you that I'm really grateful for the career I've had. I started right in college wanting to be in public accounting, wanted to be a CPA, so right from the freshman year I started embarking on a career which would ultimately culminate in me being a CEO. But I joined the firm of Haskins & Sells, which has morphed into Deloitte & Touche now after a series of mergers. I joined that in 1965 and was fortunate to have a 37-year career with that firm, and it was just a terrific experience working in public accounting. The challenges that are there, working with a great variety of companies, working with some of the smartest, finest people in the world, and opportunity to learn in so many situations, but also an opportunity to really contribute in a lot of ways through my service as a CPA to the success of companies and individuals that we provided services to.
Sherrill, what are some of the biggest challenges that you currently face and expect to face in the future?
You know, the electric utility industry is going through some really significant change. And it's coming at us from a lot of angles, especially regulations, both from the federal and the state level. And there's the challenges that go along with renewables, and there's also the cost involved with providing electricity, and especially in these tough economic times, we want to do everything we possibly can to hold costs down. We're kind of at the mercy of what happens with in the prices of natural gas and coal. So our hands are tied on a big portion of our costs, but one thing that we really are focused on is providing people with safe, reliable electricity at the lowest possible cost, and let me tell you, that is a real challenge.
Sherrill, what would you say is the most important lesson that you've learned during your career?
You know, I would say that being able to deal with change and being able to make decisions, and execute based upon the decisions you make. I think we're looking back, reflecting the most successful companies that I work with, including here TECO, is where you have a very defined strategy and you really stay with that strategy, but you execute every day. I mean, there's so many people that that talk a great game. There's so many companies that profess to be successful, but really what you need is the right strategy, and then execute on that strategy every day. And closely tied with that is you really have to have the right people, and so it should be a focus on developing really outstanding people, and that's just a continuing opportunity that you want to focus on, is to help every one of your people be successful, because the more successful they are, the more successful the company or the public accounting firm is going to be.
What do you feel has been your greatest professional accomplishments?
Well, I reflect back on my 37 years with Deloitte & Touche, was that I was able to maintain the role of managing partner for 26 years, which was quite I think quite an accomplishment, especially, life of managing partners, a little bit like a life of a football player. About average is about 5 years, so but I did it 5 times what the average would be. And really was, what reason I attribute that was a real focus on client service, a real focus on people, and really developing business for the firm. So you take, if you get the right people, and then you can provide outstanding service, and we were able to do that. And so that I really take great pride in the people and the client aspect of my tenure at Deloitte & Touche. Then just switching hats, altogether different was being CEO of TECO Energy, starting out in very troubled times and taking the company back to having some significant achievements, paying off $1.1 billion of debt, adding an additional $1 billion of market capitalization to the company, and really developing a great management team, and quite frankly having a successor to take my place who I am 100% confident that's going to lead the company to even greater successes.
Sherrill, what advice would you give accounting students or young CPAs that are considering a career in industry?
Well, I think first you referred to CPAs, and I think going into public accounting is a terrific way to start any career. And so I would urge anybody that's in accounting that they consider going into public accounting for some period of time. And I think a number of them will really love it and stay, as you and I've done for most of our career.
Right.
But what it does prepare you is for success, whether you want to go into industry, whether you go into government, academia, or really whatever you choose to be. Because when you're in public accounting, you're dealing with different people, different companies. You're having to think. You're dealing with all kind of challenges. You have to learn to be a good communicator. And those are all the factors that lead to success in whatever career a person ultimately ends up with. But nothing, I think, prepares people for success better than a few years in public accounting.
Sherrill, what has belonging to the FICPA, how has it helped in your career, and how would you encourage members in industry to be involved with the FICPA?
Well, I look back, I think one of the first things I did when I came to Florida in 1983 was to join the FICPA, and have been a member ever since. Yeah, I think the FICPA does so many things for public accounting and for industry. They've got great publications. Their continuing professional education programs are second to none. The chapters give you an opportunity to meet and get to know some of the best and brightest people in the profession. So yeah, I can just think of so many things, networking opportunities that are provided, and I think from an industry standpoint, sometimes if you're with one company, you really don't get the broad exposure like you do from a public accounting firm. So if someone chooses to be active in the FICPA, it really gives them exposure to different people with different thoughts, in addition to the points that I made before.
Sherrill, what skill or knowledge set do you think members in industry would help them enhance their careers as a executive in an industry or organization?
I think it's important to have an attitude of that you need to continually strive to learn new things. And I would urge anybody that's whether they're in industry or in public accounting, is that life should be a journey of learning every step of the way. And if you take that attitude, you know, there's constantly new books, new ideas out, and technology is something that's changing. You used to talk about technology changing by the year. Now, quite frankly, it's changing sometimes not only by the day but by the hour. So, and one of the real keys to success is to be up to date on technology. So I would urge everybody, whether you're not necessarily that you're a specialist in that, but you really need to be aware of what's happening, because what it does is it makes you much more productive, and when you have, you know, productivity leads to success.
Sherrill, what is your biggest pet peeve?
Well, Mike, you know, I don't know that I would call it a pet peeve, but the thing that bothers me most are people that are not willing to change and to embark upon a career of continual learning. I think it's very frustrating to people that have all the answers and think they don't need to do anything else, because one thing that I have found is that the people that are really the most successful are the people that are the first ones, if they make a mistake, to admit it and really commit to being better every day.
Sherrill, what is your greatest joy?
Well, first, I have to say that having a wonderful wife that I've spent my almost full life with, and family, but then from a professional standpoint, my greatest joy is the people that I've had a little bit of involvement with in their success. There's a number of people that were at Deloitte that have gone on to be national and international leaders in that firm. And as I say here, we have the succession planning program that we've had here. We've put someone in almost every senior position, a new person, and each of those people are doing great. And so it gives me so much satisfaction to see people be successful, and to have, to do everything I can to help them be successful and stay successful.
Sherrill, what is something about you that a lot of people don't know?
Well, it probably, being born and raised on a sharecropper's farm in Mississippi, growing up in a home that did not have running water and or any indoor facilities. We had a well out back and all of that. But so it's a humble background, and one I wouldn't trade anything in the world for. But I probably very few people know that, because I don't talk about it much. It was another era, but it did prepare me for, a career of hard work and really expecting, that to be rewarded for what you do, not expecting anybody to give you something that wasn't deserved and earned.